You know, the Goldberg variations by Bach, right? That monumental peak in the keyboard repertoire.
Absolutely. Usually tackled on these grand instruments, harpsichord, maybe a concert grand.
Or even those huge pipe organs you find in cathedrals. Powerful stuff.
It's a composition of incredible depth, structural genius. Really demands everything from the performer: virtuosity, intellect.
Well, this time, we're doing a deep dive into an interpretation that really, well, it flips the script in a fascinating way.
A really distinctive approach, yeah. Pushing the boundaries of how we even think about this piece.
We're talking about the keyboardist Minako Tsukata. And what's so remarkable isn't just that she recorded the Goldbergs, it's that she did it on 4. Like, utterly different keyboard instruments.
It's quite the exploration, filtering the music through these vastly contrasting sounds.
So what are these for? First, okay, a massive pipe organ, the kind that just fills a space.
Huge sound. Got it.
Then something much smaller, a petite positif organ. Quite the contrast.
Okay, interesting. Big and small organs.
Then the modern piano, but she tackled Busoni's really formidable arrangement.
Ah, the Busoni. That's a beast in itself.
And finally, and this is where it gets really wild, a toy piano.
A toy piano. Seriously.
Yes, you heard that right. A toy piano.
Wow. The contrast there.
Right.
Monumental versus miniature. It's striking. Makes you immediately reconsider the piece, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So our mission here in this deep dive is to try and understand Tsukata's vision. What's behind this ambitious project?
Yeah, what insights do we get from hearing this incredibly familiar work through such a diverse and frankly surprising set of instruments?
Exactly. How does the instrument itself change how we hear it, how we connect with it?
That's the core question, isn't it?
Okay, let's start with the artist herself, Minako Tsukata. She calls herself a kenbanist.
Kenbanist. Kenban being Japanese for keyboard.
Right. So that title alone tells you a lot, doesn't it? Her passion is for all keyboard instruments.
Yeah, it signals she's deliberately moving beyond just specializing in one thing, like organ or piano, embracing the whole family.
Precisely. And, okay, her formal training, it included organ studies in the Netherlands.
Which is significant for early music, of course.
But her musical curiosity, it goes way beyond early music. We're talking modern compositions, rock music, even anime soundtracks.
That's a pretty wide range, and it definitely feeds into her unique perspective on classical stuff, you'd think. Gives her a broader sonic palette.
And get this, her very first keyboard instrument, a bright red toy piano.
No way. Talk about foreshadowing, right?
It's incredible. Seems like that early connection wasn't just a childhood phase. It laid some groundwork.
Clearly. So it's interesting. She's now a solo performer, recording artist. But that wasn't her initial focus.
No. In middle and high school, her big thing was accompanying the choir, tackling some really substantial pieces too, like Berlioz, Kodaly, Mozart's Coronation Mass.
That ensemble experience, that probably honed her sensitivity to different lines, textures. Torso for Bach's counterpoint, obviously.
Good point. Then the organ came later, at university in Tokyo. Apparently, it was her research into modern music that first got her interested.
That's an unusual route into the organ.
Yeah, and that led her to specialized studies in the Netherlands.
Right. And the Netherlands, as the sources mentioned, is key because it has so many well-preserved historical organs. Direct access to those instruments. That must have been transformative.
Absolutely. Understanding their sound, how they were played historically.
But it wasn't just historical stuff there, was it?
No, not at all. At the Royal Conservatoire in The Hague, she was also deep into modern music and improvisation.
So you have this duality, deep historical grounding, but also very open to contemporary sounds and improvising. That seems key to her whole approach.
Totally. Then, after 17 years there, she moved back to Japan in 2013.
Why the move back?
She wanted to connect her music making more directly with the cultural context of the Japanese language and life in Japan today.
Interesting. That awareness of music and its cultural setting.
Okay, so that's the artist, this kenbanist with this incredibly broad musical world. Now let's get into these Goldberg recordings, starting with the organ.
Which, as you said, feels a bit unexpected for a piece so tied to the harpsichord in most people's minds.
Right. It challenges that convention. But Tsukata had her reasons. First, she loves chorale variations, those smaller pieces that build up a larger work.
And she saw a parallel with the Goldberg structure,
Yeah.
aria and variations.
Exactly. That architectural similarity appealed to her.
Makes sense. Both forms explore an idea through distinct but related sections.
Second, she felt there were organ-like qualities already in Bach's score.
Given Bach was a master of both, maybe that's not so far-fetched.
And third, she wanted to bring historical organ-playing techniques into it. Exploring those practices can definitely shed new light.
So the big organ recording, that was on the Christian Mueller organ in St. Bavo Church, 1738.
That's the one, an instrument just steeped in history. Mozart played it, Handel, Liszt.
Wow. Playing the Goldbergs on that instrument, the sheer weight and history, it would bring such a different quality. Less plucked clarity, more sustained, singing lines maybe.
Definitely a unique gravitas. But then she went completely the other way, recorded it on a tiny positive organ too.
Okay, the polar opposite. How small are we talking?
Just 3 stops, only 7 possible sound combinations or registrations, and she had to deal with early fingering techniques on its smaller keyboard.
Right. Those limitations force a different kind of creativity. You can't rely on massive tonal shifts, focus shifts to articulation, phrasing.
Yeah, shaping the lines subtly. The limited sustain probably highlights the melodic contours differently too, more intimate.
What was her goal with the positive, did she say?
She wanted to capture its charming, almost conversational quality. A totally different vibe from the huge Miller organ.
Okay, from intimate positive to the full power of the modern piano via Busoni.
Yes, Busoni's arrangement.
Yeah.
Which is, let's be honest, a serious undertaking. Pianists don't tackle it lightly.
No, it's massive. Busoni expands Bach's original world, written for maybe 54 keys.
Right, onto the full 88 keys of the modern piano. And he uses all the dynamics, the sustain, things the harpsichord just couldn't do. It's a total reimagining.
And Busoni himself was fascinated by the organ, wasn't he?
Deeply. He even told Bösendorfer, the piano makers, they should build pianos with more than 88 keys inspired by the organ's range.
Huh. Shows his thinking. And his early Bach arrangements for piano often picked organ works, especially those with complex pedal parts. He understood the organ's architecture.
So for Toccata, tackling the Busoni wasn't just about playing the notes, it was engaging with the music as shaped by the piano's physicality and Busoni's specific vision.
It's like seeing the Goldbergs through 2 extra lenses, the modern piano and Busoni himself, a powerful demonstration of the work's adaptability.
Okay, now for the part that really grabbed me. The toy piano.
Right, the wild card.
Toccata's apparently loved toy pianos for ages. She used a Kawai mini piano in concerts years ago. But it wasn't just a whim for this project. It started practically. Well, she didn't have a practice organ at home. So she started using a toy piano to work on Bach.
Ingenious, even with its limited range. Like 32 keys.
Yeah, she found it surprisingly useful. And here's the interesting bit. She felt the toy piano was actually better than a modern piano for practicing early organ fingering.
How come?
Because the organ's a wind instrument, the articulation is very distinct. Piano technique doesn't map perfectly, but the toy piano's simpler mechanism, somehow it fit those older fingerings better.
That's fascinating.
So that led her to think, could I actually play the whole Goldberg variations on this? At first, she thought she'd need 2 toy pianos.
To cover the range, presumably.
Exactly. She even made a private recording with 2 Kawais a few years before this big project. So the idea was brewing.
And then, how did it escalate from 2 to, well, however many she ended up using?
Serendipity. She met another toy piano enthusiast, Ayako Ida, at an exhibition, first-time meeting.
Okay.
And Ida just asks her, are you interested in toy pianos?
Gold move.
Toccata says, yeah, I play them. And boom, they start talking, sharing info. Ida shares her collection, connects Toccata with other collectors. And just 6 months later, they're recording.
6 months. From chance meeting to recording, that's incredibly fast.
Isn't it? So Aida brings her collection to the Filia Museum in Kabukizawa for the recording. Vintage French one's a big Japanese one.
And combined with others, how many did they end up with?
67.
67 toy pianos.
67. She originally planned on maybe 30, but she just got captivated by the unique sound and character of each one. Gemmer, Schoenhut, Inoue, others. She decided to use them all.
That's not an interpretation. That's an orchestration with miniatures.
Totally. She even gave them nicknames to keep track. Jenigo, Shipin. I think that her approach was like organ registration.
Planning which specific sounds, which combinations for each variation.
Exactly. The scores were covered in notes, but the challenges, huge. Different tones, quirks, touch sensitivity, tiny ranges, tuning all over the place.
A nightmare compared to a standard instrument. And no pedal board, obviously.
Right. So to get that feeling of depth, the bass foundation, she used the volume differences between the toy pianos. Some are louder, some quieter, creating a kind of 3D soundstage.
Clever. using dynamics to imply harmony in space.
And she found really creative workarounds, like one toy piano was tuned half step off.
Uh-oh.
She just used it as the black keys for certain bits. Another one was tuned in F. She just rolled with it.
Embracing the chaos? What about playing multiple instruments?
For the opening area, she needed 2 instruments for her right hand alone, so she literally stacked them.
A tower of toy pianos, you can just picture it. Amazing ingenuity.
And get this, some instruments were tuned a perfect fourth away from standard pitch, and she could just play them, transposing on the fly.
Wow, that takes some serious skill.
The sources connect that to an organist's training, transposing for choirs, dealing with weird historical organ tunings. It's a specific flexibility.
That makes perfect sense. It's a skill set most pianists wouldn't need day to day.
So meticulous planning, detailed scores, absolutely essential. And she even found a place for a really out-of-tune golden toy piano in the 4th variation, just for its unique character.
So she wasn't trying to hide the imperfections, she was using them. That's part of the artistic statement.
Exactly. Now, the recording itself, not exactly comfy studio conditions.
Oh.
Deep winter in Kobuchizawa. And to preserve the sound, the acoustics, no heating in the hall.
No heating in winter. Wow.
Temperatures were near freezing.
That must have been incredibly difficult.
But Tsukada apparently was kind of used to it from playing organs in drafty old European churches.
Ah, right. Still hours of playing in the cold. Dedication.
She'd warm her hands in hot water between takes, bundled up, and get this, she personally cooked handmade meals for the whole recording team.
She cooked for them. Hamburgers, curry, charashi sushi.
Yeah. Her philosophy is that recording is teamwork, and sharing meals builds that connection, that collaboration.
That's really special. Says so much about her and the whole spirit of the project.
And the sound they captured. The engineer was Saburo Ugata. It's incredibly immersive. You feel like you're sitting among the toy pianos.
You can hear where they are in the stereo field.
Clearly. Ugata apparently has a self-described sound fetish. He wanted to capture everything. The pure tones, yes, but also the little rattles, the hums, the room sound.
Capturing the reality of the instruments, not just an idealized version.
Exactly. He'd worked with Tsukada before on her Silvestrov and Bach Busoni albums, so they had a rapport.
And he must have used some complex mic setups to capture all 67, especially as the configurations changed for each variation.
Meticulous work, adapting his technique specifically for this unique challenge.
And there's a piece at the end.
Yeah, as a kind of coda, Ugata created a music concrete piece using electronic sounds derived from the toy pianos.
Interesting, using recorded sounds as the raw material. A playful touch.
So what's next for Tsukada? Is she resting on her laurels after? Well, that.
Doesn't sound like it.
Not a chance. She's now experimenting with recording the Goldberg variations on the melodica.
The melodica. Wow. That's another left turn.
Apparently, she played it alongside a pipe organ in a concert in Belgium and got fascinated.
What draws her to it for the Goldbergs?
She mentioned the depth, the unique sound of it as a reed instrument, even though she knows it presents huge musical challenges for such complex music.
It just reinforces that Ken Banist idea, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Exploring any keyboard, no matter how unconventional.
Totally. Okay, one last thing from the sources. Her own listening notes. She auditioned the recordings critically.
What did she notice?
For the toy pianos, she heard the rattles and hums captured faithfully, loved how you could pinpoint instruments in Variation 4, the bell-like sounds in Variation 30.
Appreciating the details Ugata captured.
For the Bach Busoni, it was the natural resonance, the venue's atmosphere. Large organ, richness in quiet high notes, positive organ, hearing the air in the pipes.
Fascinating, hearing the artist's own critical take. Even on different speaker systems, she noted the clarity, the spaciousness.
Yeah, it shows how carefully they listened back, ensuring the essence was captured.
So bringing this all together, Minako Tsukada's achievement here is just extraordinary. Recording the Goldbergs on these 4 incredibly different instruments, culminating in the toy piano version.
It's a massive testament to her creativity, her skill, her deep understanding of the piece itself.
Absolutely. And for you, the listener, the takeaways are huge. The unexpected potential of the toy piano.
Her innovative approach to instrumentation,
Right.
just deciding to use 67 of them.
Her dedication to capturing the essence of each instrument, quirks and all.
And that blend of super detailed planning with this real spontaneous creativity.
And fundamentally, it makes you question what a serious instrument is, right?
Yeah.
How familiar pieces can offer totally new perspectives.
Which leads to that final thought. Consider this. How can limitations, like using toy pianos or just making unconventional choices, how can that actually unlock new creative paths?
Yeah, and deepen our appreciation of music we thought we knew inside out.
What other pieces might reveal something totally new if approached from a completely unexpected angle like this?
It really gives you something to chew on, doesn't it? A fascinating exploration.